in the past. Tony Ben, who our recipient's a good big fan of, Maxine Peake, Ian Hodson, the Bakers Union, our own Ian Hayes, who's come down today, although he's not well at the moment, Ken Loates, Jimmy McGiven, the list goes on. And our guest today has demonstrated, in the face of a lot of pressure, that outstanding contribution. As we know, it's a dangerous world that we're living in, and politically it's challenging, fractious and complex. And we like to think our guest has challenged all these things. He conducts himself with passion, integrity, dignity, and he stands up for people. He stands up for us. And he's done a lot of work to try and stop the bombardments of Gaza. He's done work to try and stop disability cuts, and he's working towards other things. Anyway, I'm going to let him tell you a bit more about himself. And I don't know if you know, a couple of years ago he came and did a talk for us on about Gerard Winstanley at the Diggers Movement at the parish church. And he came down and just did that off his own back. So, without further ado, I would like you to give a massive Wigan welcome to the MP for the last 10 years for Leeds East, Mr. Richard Burgon.
Thanks very much. It's you can present that with me now at the end. What do you reckon? At the end, that'll be fantastic. It's a real pleasure to be with you all today in this square, brought together by belief in the socialist and working class movement, brought together also by the desire to have a good time, have a drink, have a dance and enjoy some music. It's a fantastic honour and a real surprise to have received this award, the Diggers Award, today. And we meet at a very dangerous time. We meet, in my view, at a time when if there were an election, a general election tomorrow, we'd end up with what I would call an extremist far-right government for the first time in our country's history. And as I told the Prime Minister at Prime Minister's Question Time, the only way to stop the election of an extremist far-right government is by a return to real Labour values. And that means taking real action to tackle poverty and inequality. That means a wealth tax on the super rich. And that means an ethical foreign policy which treats war crimes as war crimes, whichever government commits them. Free Palestine, indeed. And that's why I went to the International Criminal Court and presented to the Chief Prosecutor's team evidence that I had compiled of Israeli war crime after Israeli war crime. I have done. Thanks. Free Palestine. And it's because you agree with me and I agree with you that I went to the International Criminal Court and presented evidence of Israeli war crimes. I will. Can you let me speak? Is that all right? Because I think we agree on these things. I think you must be mixing me up with someone else. I think you must have turned up to heckle the wrong person. Because, of course, I voted for a ceasefire. I voted against a prescription of Palestine action. I've spoken at the national demonstrations. And the reality is this. The cause of Palestine is the cause of our age. A genocide is taking place. And what we need is sanctions on Israel at the same level of sanctions that have been quite rightly brought against Russia for its war crimes in Ukraine, because otherwise it's double standards. A war crime is a war crime, whoever commits it. A genocide is a genocide, whoever commits it. And that's why this Tuesday in Parliament I'll be launching a campaign group in Parliament for sanctions on Israel, because the idea that you can stop Israel carrying out its war crimes by pleading with them, by trying to remind them not to bomb hospitals, not to kill journalists, not to kill innocent men, women and children, is absolute nonsense. They know what they're doing, and that's why they're doing it. What's needed is widespread sanctions on Israel in order to force them to comply with international law and stop the genocide. So you're heckling the wrong person. We need to build a mass movement for peace, a mass movement for a better society. And it comes down to this. I'm afraid that the government tried to balance the books on the backs of the poor and disabled. Let me make myself clear, as someone who voted against every single attempt to cut disability benefits. It's immoral, it's wrong, it's fundamentally un-Labour to try and balance the books on the backs of the poor and disabled. The government was trying to save up to £7 billion by doing that. What they should have done is what we demand, and instead of taking money from disabled people, take money from the very richest at the top. Let's have a wealth tax of 2% on assets over £10 million would raise £24 billion a year. That could help to turn around our public services. That could help to lift living standards. That could help to create a better society. When they say there's no money left, it's just not true. The money is left in this, one of the richest countries on earth. It's just in the wrong hands. We can't rely upon growth alone, even when there is growth, to turn things round after 14 years of Tory austerity. What we need is redistribution. What we need is a socialist economic policy that puts the 99% first and unites the working class in all its diversity against the billionaires and those who want to divide the working class in all its diversity, because that doesn't help anyone. And so, I'll finish on this. My hero, Tony Benn, who I know came to the Diggers Festival on many occasions and received an award, said this. He said, "We're not here just to manage capitalism. We're here to change society." And it was the Diggers, Gerard Winstanley and the others, who tried to change society. And what ran through everything they did was a fundamental belief in democracy, a belief in people power, a belief in the fact that the wisdom in our society, in our country, doesn't start off in the chamber of the House of Commons. It starts out here, and by and large it's usually Parliament and MPs who are the very last ones. Actually finish on this because I've got a bit of extra time from the heckler. That's the way it works. It's a bit like football, where sometimes you get a bit of time added on at the end. I'll finish on this. All the progressive movements in history, whether it be the Diggers, whether it be the miners, whether it be those that campaigned for the right for women to vote, or whether it be those that campaigned to end child labour, or those who campaigned to create the National Health Service, they were all told, don't bother, you can't change anything, you won't achieve your goals. And all of them proved them wrong. They said the NHS, the creation of a National Health Service, was a pipe dream. They said setting up an end to child labour was a pipe dream. They said votes for women would never happen. They said votes for working class women and working class men would never happen. But all of these things became a reality. And when they did, you couldn't find anyone who didn't pretend to have agreed with all those things all the way along. As Nelson Mandela said, everything is impossible until it's done. So let's carry on working together. Let's carry on struggling together. And let's be inspired by the example of the Diggers to understand that a better world isn't just necessary, it's possible. And together we will achieve it. Thank you very much.
Brothers and sisters, Mr. Richard Burgon. Gerard Winstanley said, those who do nothing, does nothing, doesn't act at all. I don't think we can accuse Richard of that. Big hand please again, Richard Burgon. And I'd like to present him with this year's ceremonial SPADE Award. And I'm going to hand you over back to the acoustic stage now, Alan. Thank you.